Now, Caroline posted these, and I don't know why I put Annie down here, but I do apologize for calling out and stating Annie. I don't know how I got that in there, but let's move up and look at these items here. Now, these are placemats. Placemats I find sometimes in big, huge binders, folders, and things like that. So, in all honesty, the most amount of placemats I've ever found was either at an auction in a box that no one looked at, or in a big, huge binder on a shelf on a estate sale or something like that. I usually look for books of these. So that's a good place to find these. Now, you're not going to find most placemats you have ever online, just because it just doesn't happen. So, Crane's Igloo. So we're going to type in just Crane's Igloo. Igloo. And then restaurant. And that's all we're going to type in here. I want to see, to start off with, if there is any interest to begin with the whole aspect of this. Let's see what we got here. So we don't have that. So let's just back up the word restaurant. Old matchbook. Igloo Cafe, the Cranes, on Highway 47, Forest, Illinois. So I'm sure this is the exact same place. So right off the bat, you've got better graphics, better everything. The person buying this, I would say without a doubt, bought this because of the location. So without a doubt, right off the bat, I would personally list this at $34.50 right off the bat, maybe even as high as $57.50. I'll give you a little in here. When I can't figure out or find anything from the actual placemat itself, like a matchbook doesn't show up, nothing shows up on eBay at all, I just automatically list them at $34.50 to $57.50 right off the bat. It's the same principle as with sheet music. You're never ever going to find the majority of placemats you have on eBay. It's not going to happen, nor will you find them on WorthPoint. For one, as I've talked about before, these were disposable items. Usually if somebody had the placemat at their table, they used it. There was probably a drop or stains, and they just discarded them. They were in cheaper paper. It takes the right type of person to save a placemat. So it's very scarce. But most people don't run into them or don't look for them and don't assume they're worth a whole bunch of money, or they're in a binder and they don't want to mess with it. They don't see them up on eBay when they're sourcing. So in many cases, they're not even looking for them. And when they do find them, they assume nothing because, again, they don't find them. They have no way to price them. They don't know paper. They don't know any strategies. My strategy for any of these type of items, just like the sheet music, the large formats, again, there's millions of sheet musics that were made prior to 1920, but you will only see handfuls of any of those up on eBay. Maybe 1 out of 100 different pressed printed sheet musics will ever show up on eBay. You may have the only one that's ever shown up, not because they're rare, but just because people haven't listed them. Most people just are dumbfounded by what to do with sheet musics. I'll list hundreds just to sell a couple, but those couple that I sell out of them make up for all that time and investment because it's a huge profit. Same thing goes for placemats. This I would surely list at either the $34.50 or $57.50, depending on your feelings on it. You can always, do a bin, best offer, lower it later on if it's up for $57.50 for a length that you think's too long. Drop it down to $34.50. And then see what happens. If you don't get a lot of movement, maybe play around with the categories. List it in paper section versus going up to collectibles, advertising, and then restaurants, foods areas. So there's many different areas. Or you can list it in collectibles, travel, and then Illinois, and then go from there as well. So you've got 3 different sections that any placemat could pretty much go into. Just FYI. Burgess Brothers. Now, I've heard of this one, honestly. I've been out that way once or twice before. It has awesome graphics. 1950s, early 50s, too. So, Burgess. Let me just make sure I'm spelling everything correctly. Brothers is what it was. Now, some of these are worth looking up again. It doesn't have to be placemats that we're actually looking for. Burgess Brothers, wow, they've got other things going on for it. So let's go ahead and check the categories again. Let's tie our results down to just collectibles in general and lock them so I don't have to do that again. I just sold one of those. That's weird, but not that exact one. You know, it very easily, let's see again what this shows. It looks like a diner that would probably have Plantation Annex Coffee Shop, Estes Park. It's hard to say on this one. It's really hard to say, but either way, I would list it at the 5750 in all honesty. Carlisle Ware, red, white, and blue. Yeah, I think there's two different companies, so you probably have a like just literally a restaurant chain, a restaurant line. Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do with any of these graphics. This is a really nice one here. I wouldn't doubt you would get some decent money out of this one here. On average, 20 bucks for most any decent one. People are going to frame these. This is like a poster almost. So that's why these go so well. That's why I put those in those price ranges. I would bet that if you've got a bunch in this quality, B&B Restaurants, Napani, Indiana. I haven't even heard of that city. So again, I'm not even going to bother. I would just personally list any of these sort for the 3450 to 5750. It looks like they're all circa early 1950s. Now this one's worth listing, looking up. Because this is a Denny's, and it says Denny's Coffee Shop. This is early. Let's look up this one. Oops, it helps if I type it in right. And I'm literally going to look up Denny's Coffee Shop and see what it says. California, Denny's Coffee Shop. Yeah, I mean, you've got a paper item that's fairly scarce. Denny's Coffee Shop Restaurant. This is active. Let's go to closed. 85 bucks. Let's highest to lowest. Shop menu, South Carolina vintage. Now, menu from a Denny's that says coffee shop. And again, I'm assuming yours, I can't quite see it on your image here, but yeah, it's California. So you've got the best ones to find. So you've got California, 1950s, Denny's, 5750, definitely. So far, you've scored off the charts on this one here. I'm assuming this is on the back. So it has locations in it. Is it all California? Yeah, it's mostly all California. Locations you need to list on the back, too. I might suggest listing it. Yeah, it's got locations on the back. This is a prime one. This is before they were anywhere else but Arizona and California, it looks like. Good one. You might even shoot it for 75 bucks in all honesty and just see what happens. You might be able to date this by how many Denny's were open. They're listing them, and this is the first Denny's, too. Obviously, Denny's number one, it sounds like, is you. This one here. Excellent item. Let's see here. Excellent one, too. Again, 5750. I'm not even going to question looking up that one. Well, this is a nice one, too. I have not seen a round one. Put that in the title. Round placemat, 1950s. Howard Johnson's. This one's probably 3450. You might try the 5750, but I would suggest this one might not be as much. I do run into Howard Johnson's. I have 3 or 4 different Howard Johnson's right now. If you can, well, see, it's not going to be Florida or California, so. Coronation. Now, this is a really nice one, too. Coronation placement. I bet you there isn't a single one up. That would be my guess. 1953 placemat. Yeah, I don't see a placemat. Let's look at active. Yeah, I don't. Oh, it's 1953. Yeah, I don't see anything even remotely like this. New coronations. This is a fairly new one. So, in my book, there's a bunch of stuff made, but you may have one of the only ones of these up. I'd probably still shoot for 5750 as a paper item. You know, who knows? Maybe even 75, but I think 5750 is more reasonable. If you want to try it out, try 75 bucks and go from there. But I think I'd put 5750 and just let it go. 3450 on this one probably. Copper Country in there. It's a fairly common theme on things. Does it say the exact place? Ask the vacationer. No advertising. Guide to Good Eating. Yeah, this may just be like an advertising piece. It may not be from a restaurant itself. You'd have to see. But again, 3450 at best on that one. Atlantic Restaurant. Now this one you can look up here again. Oops. And where did it say Marblehead, right? That's what it was. Let's check the category too, just to be safe. Atlantic Restaurant, Marblehead. So you've got the only item up from it. Again, maybe 57.50 then. You can always lower the price, but you can't raise it. So I try to shoot high. These are pretty nice. These are pretty early, and these are probably look like they are pretty scarce. They may be one-offs, that the only ones around, or one only shows up every 5 or 10 years. French market's a very common place. These are fairly common, but this again, 34.50, maybe a hair higher. It does have some damage, so I'd probably stick to the 34.50. This one might be a little longer tail than some of the other ones because again, this is a big place. We've eaten there ourselves. I don't know how many times. Café du Mât is on the one side of the French market, and beignets we get there actually when we go there. Just FYI, it's a nice place. If you haven't been to New Orleans, it's well worth the trip, truthfully. Let's see here. I might have this one actually as well too. Yeah, West. This is one I think I actually have. 34.50 is what I put on mine. Travel Mat, Scenic Route 66. So this one might have some history to it. There might be some other ones. I'll be surprised if there's not, but again, yeah, I'm surprised. So 57.50 on this one, without a doubt. Route 66 is the main thing that you want to push on this one here. And I would probably put Shamrock, Texas. Don't worry about the Missouri because it's not quite as common. Shamrock, Texas, though, I'd probably put in there as the local area for this. It's a nice piece. A lot of Western. You might put Western, Travel Mat, the whole works. Placemat. Don't put Travel Mat. And that person's name, that photo that was shown, I might say list that too. Harbor Johnson's Coral Inn Restaurant. So I would say that's what this is from. Johnson's, and it's a map. It's Lake Superior. So Johnson's Restaurant. Again, I would probably say 34.50 or so. And put the map, put the area. Snore Drive, M26. This looks familiar, though. May have even been up in this area, but that would be my guess on that one as well. Again, I could go and look all these up, but you're probably not going to find most of these up here. Now, this is a nice one. 57.50, without a doubt on this one. 64 election, what would be Kennedy, and let's see what else we got. Any nice... and it goes back. It's got all of them going back, which is typical what you see. Again, nice one here. At least 57.50. Now, this one I would probably put in the collectibles, historical, political probably section, and then under presidential campaign or something like that. This one should do pretty well, I would think. I haven't seen anything like it. It does look like there's a ring from a glass sweating on it, but, it's still a nice piece. They just don't show up. My guess, you'd at least probably get 20, 25 bucks out of it just because of what it is. And this was a fairly newer one. It looks like, though, it's printed like with postcard images because that's definitely a postcard image. Is it a fabric tint? Brown Brothers. Okay, so it's a main one. Photos Courtesy Development Commission. Yeah, they're commissioned postcards is what they are. Florida map. I would probably say I lived Claremont, but anyway, Leesburg. I've sourced this huge area myself, all the way down to the Miami and Hialeah area down there, and all the way up to St. Augustine, Old Town we used to hit. Oh, Jesus. Fond memories of sourcing in this area. This is a nice one. I'd probably shoot for 34.50 to 57.50, just like all the rest of them. Rule of thumb, if you don't know, on a placemat, 34.50, automatically up to 57.50. But placemats, if you don't know, you're probably not going to find them. Same thing like sheet music. So Mark's got some items here as well. There's some postcards from Manila, and he has some magic lantern slides. Now, we're going to go over the postcards real quick, and then we will spend some time just going over what's the best type of magic lantern slides and what Mark actually has here. Now, he's got a few postcards here. These are typical of what you will find from, say, turn of the century, 19th, like around the time of the Spanish-American War. Soldiers coming back would have possibly had ones like this. Mostly, though, you'll find them from, say, around World War I on these. Manila postcards do show up fairly often. Now you have a sawmill here, and then there's rope making. So these are occupational. Now this is musicians, as you can see here. Now this is like a local tribe. I've had cards very similar to this. This is another one. This is the local tribe. These are all, I would say, from the same tribe. So on this one here, you can literally use this name. And we're going to look this one up here in just a minute. But I've just got Terapico opened up here and Manila RPPC. Now, the most expensive one is a lot of 20 of them. So, again, that doesn't count. This is from a photographer from Manila, which would be a rare topic, rare subject to start with. Here's a lot of 5 from there, but they're town views, $75 basically. A lot of 18, $75. World War I, again, that's probably what yours are more along the lines of. Large lot 17 RPPCs from Manila, $71. Singapore Coronation Night used postcard. Let's see here. Seamstress Sweatshop Sewing Room. So this is more along the lines of an occupational one like you have. Let me pop back here. So if I was looking at these, the rope making one, I would probably price on the high end, say $75 for this one, based just on what I see here. Once you get down here, they pretty much go down fairly quickly, as you can see. On the first page, you're already down to the $20 range, and we're only looking at 50, so that means there's only about 30 at most that are worth anything of high value, but they're still obviously worth some money. So looking at, I keep popping the wrong one, looking at like this one here, occupational, Manila, rope making, production, something along that line, advertising, authentics, I don't know, something along that line, RPPC, occupational would be the one you want in there. Same with this one, same price, $75. Occupational, now if they weren't occupational, I probably wouldn't have priced them, say, $75. If they were just some random shot, you're probably looking at $57.50 as a bin BO. $75 would be a bin BO as well. Let me go back over here. I'm not sure I'll remember to spell this correctly, so we're going to swap this out here, the term. And what did I have? T-I-N-E, was that what it was? T-I-N-G-U-I. T-I-N-G-U-I. Pop back again. A-N-E-S. A-N-E-S and postcard this time. And what do we got? Typical native. So that's just the name of a tribe. Let's see if it. Nope, no dictionary directory. Let's do this because sometimes the cards are misspelled. So let's just make sure I am looking it up correctly and spelled it correctly. U-I-A-N-G-S, biodiversity. Tingjian. So I want to take off. Let's just take off. This is the plural. So let's just take off that and see what we get. Same thing. Let's look at active. Chicago Museum, Miniature, Philippines, Natural History Museum. So none of those count at all. So you've got, from what I would say, these are fairly scarce too. Now, I never had any RPPCs of native tribes. Mine were, I think, I'll take that back. I think I did. I think I did, and I think I did sell those for like 20 or 30 now that I think about it. Not as nice as these. I would probably stick these in the 55 or 57.50 range, truthfully, each one of these, and list them as that tribe, that native indigenous people. That's what I would list them as. So 57.50, 57.50, 75, 75. If they were mine, bins, BOs for all of them. Based on what I see, too. We're looking at the knowledge here. There's not much active sold or either or on those. The one that did sell, and I've had some from the same area, Luzon, I believe, is the city area, if I'm not mistaken. But that would be my guess on those. That's exactly what I personally would do. The backs, I think, yeah, these are typical foreign backs. These are pressed overseas somewhere, so they have everything they need on them. They're from the right area. If it didn't have Russian and some of the other dialects languages on here, I might not be so apt to say, yeah, from the region, but I would say everything's just as they should be. Let me pop back in there. I hate when it pops off like that. Let's move on to the slides, I think is what we have next here. Now, the first thing you should know right off the bat by looking at these are for kids. This is for a kids show of some sort. There are some better ones in here. In fact, let's talk about those for just a minute here. Now, this is one of the Punch and Judy characters here. So this one you could potentially sell on its own. So and again, date on these late 1890s, probably the ones I see here that you have. This one could be a little older. I can't quite tell if that's a wood back on it or not. If it has a wood frame, sometimes those are a little older than the other ones. Um, let's see here. Some of the this is like a thin coating on top of a glass, and sometimes that doesn't stay or last. It's semi-transparent, so when the light goes through it, you can actually see the images. Let's move on to the next one here. Yeah, same one here. Now, the boat ones, I think maybe you could put in a lot, or you're probably going to end up putting them all in a lot, probably, would be my guess. The circus ones do okay, but they're just not going to be big, huge movers on their own like that, in all honesty. That looks like possibly a transportation or a adventure travel kind of thing, Discover or something. This one's pretty interesting. Now these are meant to slide through it as you show it, so it like is a pan of the whole scene is what this one is. The best ones you want, we'll show you in just a minute here. These are very common, not in the best condition. I will show you a price range in just a minute here, just to give you an idea. But you do have both Punch and Judy, it looks like, I think is what I saw. Let me go back down. Maybe not. Let me go back over to the main image here. I know you had one of them. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just have the one. I mean, circus do okay, but I think you just have the one, unfortunately. Now, let's look at some. Let me close off this one here. Now, I've got another one open here just for Magic Lantern Slide. I'm going to tell you right now, the best ones always, every time, are later ones of movies. The kids' ones just are not very popular. You will sell them in big bunches, or if they're in immaculate condition with nice wood frames or something like that. And they're still not going to sell for a fortune. Frankenstein is the very top one. 1931. Marx Brothers is right below it. We'll look at some individual ones as well, but as you go through here, you're going to see there are some very high-priced ones here. There's one that's reserved for somebody, so we won't look at that. But overall, most of the ones that sell for hundreds of dollars are from movies. Movies or scientific or ones of travel that show actual images. And we'll look at some here. Now, this is a good example of what I would look for. Anything that says Paramount Pictures. Now, in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that it's in full color there, the image. It's actually been hand-painted on the glass. Animated cartoon character. That's why this one went for $1,000. Between movies and intermission and things like that, these would play. And we're going to show you what these were actually mounted on in a minute here, because I pulled one up just to show you. I've seen them before. I'm into movie stuff. I worked at a movie theater myself, so I'm really into this sort of thing too. These played in movies. If you can find 35 millimeter slides, the same thing goes. Those will sell. They used to do that when I was a kid, maybe even up until recently. But I've had the opportunity in the past to buy tens of thousands of movie-related slides in the past, and they always go. Always, always, always. Now, this is more along the lines of travel. This is a missionary who took photos and had a slideshow of his travels. Rather interesting. You can see there's scenes, and each one is labeled with a paper label of who took it. Usually there's a destination, or like this one's numbered with where it's at and the whole works. This is on board a ship. The missionaries themselves. Some of the things they found while they were traveling. Rather interesting lot here. $1,000. Something you're not going to find. Somebody would probably transfer these images, would be my guess, and use them for something else. Now, my opinion is the copyright's probably dead on these, but you know, there probably wouldn't be anybody who could claim it if the person who owned the copyright for some reason was still alive or in a state. But chances are this sort of thing, these might be a one of a kind even. So $1,000 isn't bad for something like this in my book, but here's Houdini. Houdini did star in a few movies, if you didn't know that, in that same time frame. All magic and escape and things like that. They were more like one reel or maybe two at most, like little shorts and stuff. $455. So again, these are what you're literally looking for.